All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a universal enemy. I mean, who hasn't dealt with this, right? Procrastination. But don't worry, we're going to dive into a super simple but really powerful trick to take back control. You know the feeling, right? You've got that big project, or your books, or maybe even just a tiny task you need to do, and you're just staring at it. And that little voice pops up. I'll start in a bit, maybe after lunch. Next thing you know, the whole day's gone. Poof. And that thing you were supposed to do, still sitting there.
And you know what? That whole cycle, it's not just a bad habit. It's way more than that. It's a trap. So let's figure out how this thing actually works. And more importantly, how do we get out of it for good?
Okay, and this next part is absolutely crucial. We have to reframe this in our minds. We're so quick to beat ourselves up, right? We call ourselves lazy, but here's the thing. Procrastination is not a character flaw. It's a mental habit. It's just a default response our brain has learned, and if we're not careful, it can literally steal our time and, honestly, our lives. So, if it's not about being lazy, then what is it? Let's get into the science of it. Why our brains actually choose to put things off. It turns out it's all about this built-in escape plan. Here's the deal. Our brains are basically wired to avoid huge, vague tasks. I mean, they absolutely hate them. When your brain sees this giant mountain of work in front of it, its first reaction is just stress. And it triggers this really powerful urge to just run away. That feeling of, I'll do it later? Yeah, that's literally your brain mashing the eject button.
And I mean, this is the exact conversation that goes on inside our heads, right? You look at a task like, I need to study 6 lectures, and your brain just immediately translates that into overwhelming threat, escape now. And what's the easiest escape? Oh, social media, grabbing a snack, literally anything but the task. Procrastination is just our brain's self-defense mechanism against that feeling of being completely swamped.
All right, so we get the problem now. Our brain is basically scared of big tasks. So the solution isn't about brute force or willpower. Nope, it's about being clever. We got to trick our brains into starting. And I've got 3 simple hacks that'll do just that. So hack number 1, shrink the task. And here's the key. You have to make the task so tiny, it sounds almost ridiculous. Seriously, your brain isn't going to see write 1 sentence as a threat. It won't trigger that escape plan. By making the task microscopic, you just lower that barrier to entry so much that starting becomes, almost effortless. And that whole idea of shrinking the task, it leads us perfectly into our second hack, which is probably the most powerful one of all. It all comes down to one simple number, 5. Just 5 minutes. This little number, it's the golden key to everything. And this is the magic of what we call the 5-minute rule. Here's how it works. You just tell yourself, okay, I am only going to work on this for 5 minutes. That's it. Then I can stop. And what's amazing is what happens next. Research, experience, it all shows that a whopping 80% of the time, you're not going to stop. And why is that? Because the hardest part was never the work itself. It was just starting. It's like pushing a big rock. Once you get it rolling, it's so much easier to keep it going. Okay, for our third and final hack, we've got the last piece of the puzzle, rewarding your progress. See, your brain has learned to connect big tasks with stress. So now we need to actively teach it to connect getting things done with pleasure. And look, these rewards don't have to be anything huge. Did you finish your 5 minutes? Awesome. Go enjoy that nice cup of coffee. Did you write that 1 single paragraph? Perfect. Put on your absolute favorite song. What you're doing here is you're literally rewiring the neural pathways in your brain. You're making it crave that feeling of accomplishment. All right, let's put all of this together. I want to give you a simple, super practical experiment you can start right now. Think of it as your own personal 1-week challenge, just to prove to yourself that this stuff actually works. So here's the game plan. It's just 4 steps, every day for just 1 week. Step 1, write down the stuff you need to do.
Step 2, for every single task, shrink it down to its tiniest, most ridiculous version. Step 3, commit to just 5 minutes on that tiny task. And step 4, as soon as you're done, give yourself that small, immediate reward. That's it. Super simple. I'm telling you, after just 1 week of this, you are going to notice a massive difference. Not just in how much you get done, but in how you feel about yourself. You're going to realize that the problem was never you. It wasn't laziness. It was just your strategy. You simply didn't know the right way to get started. Okay, so let's wrap this up with what is probably the most important takeaway from this whole explainer. It all boils down to one single, incredibly powerful idea. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Procrastination wastes life in the illusion that there's always a later. That later we keep promising ourselves, it's a total illusion. It's a fantasy that just steals the only real time we ever truly have. Because think about it, there's no such thing as early or late. There is only this one moment. Right now. The past, it's gone. The future hasn't happened yet. The only time action is even possible is right now. So the real question isn't about what you're going to do tomorrow, or next week, or next month. It's about what you are going to do with the very next 5 minutes. Your 5 minutes start now. So pick one thing, just one. What's it going to be?